Thank you and welcome back. In case you've just joined us, this is the Nigeria Watch coming to you live from BRTV channel 102 on your decoder TStv. You can share all of this with us and time learning a lot more. Ahead on the show, we are going to be taking a look at strategic communication tools ahead of the 2023 elections as hands-on to some of the campaign strategies that will be coming up in September. We're going to be starting a serious campaigning in September 28th or thereabout, and some political parties will be expected to reach out to the electorate, and of course their faithful. All of these people will be counting. How are we going to be talking to them? What is the measure and the professional strategies to reaching audience and mass of people paid thousands and sometimes across board? And just to do that for us today on the show, we'll be having a lecturer and of course Shedrack Rowan David, media technologist. He is of the Benson Idahosa University, Benin City. It's a pleasure to have you on the program. Welcome to Nigeria Watch. It's my pleasure once again.
Thank you.
Yeah. And the first question would be, how do we communicate as a political party, as individuals, as an organization? At what point, what are the basic tools we need? How do you convince people to go out at first instance? Because look at some of the problems we have, why I'm asking this question. Nigerians, many in millions, have gone out to register for their PVCs. But do you know that those PVCs are there in INEC office? They have not collected them. I'm afraid, or maybe I'm also thinking that INEC hasn't deployed effective tool to letting the people know why they need to come and get their PVC, because up till this moment, millions of PVCs are lying in
unattended to,
unreceived, uncollected.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at strategic communication. What would you say it is in a layman's term that Nigerians can understand?
Strategic communication. Let me, first of all, before you talk about strategy, you have to talk about communication in itself.
Exactly.
And it has to do with an exchange of communication or information from point A to point B, meaning it involves two parties or more. So it means whenever I speak out,
I should be able to understand what you're saying.
So first of all, it comes as an ideology, and from there I need to package or prepare the most polite way or the most effective way to channel it out. And by so doing, I have to make sure I use the right channel to get to the other person or the other end through as an input first. Then that person should be able to encode and communicate, or encode first and then be able to process.
When you say encode,
it means that he gets an understanding
of what you're saying.
What in clear terms, because you know sometimes some of us with so much use of language may be confusing. So until you are able to understand what I've said from my end, and then you get that understanding, you are able to process first, and then the next stage will have to be decoding, and then I have to get a feedback, because after you are finished understanding and processing, you have to give it back to as a response, and then the feedback as it is. Then communication has taken place. Let me put it that way.
From what you have explained, it seems to be that this is actually the bane of Nigeria's development.
True.
Because it looks like the citizens are not either understanding or encoding or decoding in
what
either case
being said,
between the leaders, the government, and the people. So how do we correct this?
To correct this, you have to devise a strategic plan. The strategy in itself has to do with the best way, backed up by an action plan. So there is a plan that you have to put that best puts these whole intentions to the people, so that they will get a background information, a better understanding of what you have as an intention.
And then we are going into the 2023 elections.
Yes.
The question would be, do you think political parties, first, candidates of these political parties, second, and the people, do you think they are communicating in a manner that the electorate and Nigerians would understand them?
I wouldn't say so, because until the common man gets to understand what intentions are and what you have in store for them, because it seems as if they are speaking different languages. So when you speak and you don't get the kind of result that you want, a lot of needs are out there, a lot of demands. There are a lot of things that people want to see taking place, because they have been casualties of a failed system over the years. And that thing is what they are looking for, a way out. Somebody that wants that is out to come and save them by way of telling them, this is what I am going to do, and actually back it up by action. So there are different channels, different tools that needs to be put in place to make sure.
Let's take a look at the tools.
So some of the tools are common things that you and I have known over the years.
Okay.
You know, like
we have known them, but we have not been
using them properly.
Yes. So how do we harness these tools to the point that Nigerians begin to believe when you tell them that you are going to build a road across their community? You've told them 3 years after, 4 years after, 7 years after, 15 years after. Is it that the people or the government itself have failed to actualize the things they've said? And at that point, there seems to be loss in communication.
True.
So should government be saying things that they do not mean to do? Is that why the people have now developed deaf ears and they can no longer listen to what the government says?
It's part of the problem.
So let's deploy the tools that can be effective enough for the political party, because they are watching, they're also listening, to say, if the people should believe us in the things that we're going to do for them ahead of the 2020 elections going forward, what are the things they're supposed to be telling the people?
Okay. It's simple. There is the most common and effective way.
Okay.
There's the face-to-face. Like in those days, the ancient times, the most effective and still effective today is the one that you have physical individuals, like the politicians themselves.
Door to door?
Yes, going to communities to see, because where I reside in Benin City, there are some villages connecting to cities that this complaint has always been. The only time we see you people is only when you have campaigns coming and you are planning elections and all that. And after that, you get what you want, and the next thing, we don't see you for the next
4 years.
So that's the problem. And some of them, it was surprising to know that there was even a village I had to go to. There was even no means to get in there. So what they do, there are some of the palliatives that they make to accessing those villages that just fail within that period. And then what happens? You can't get there by the use of vehicles, except with bikes and all that. And sometimes you may not even have the interest of going to that place, because the basic amenities that are supposed to aid development in those areas are not there, so they still live in the dark age.
Okay.
Some villages don't even have the like one of the tools, like I will say, is the newspaper, like paper headlines and all that you can also use to communicate. Like in the olden days, I mean, in those villages, a lot of people look out for news headlines, like newspapers that they can use or read to get information about what is happening in the cities. Like a time came, I traveled to Maiduguri. The news you get today is what they get tomorrow.
Okay.
So the instance of time lapse is there, because when you don't have light, they can hardly search the net to get information instantly. So they wait for newspapers. So if you have channel to get a newspaper today that you can read, it will be more valuable to them the following day, simply because it's difficult to get to these villages until the following day. So it takes a full day
24 hours
to get to those places.
Okay, before you continue to roll out the tools, like you said, we know them.
Yes.
I do not actually think the problems are with the tools.
No, it's not.
Yeah, the problems has to do with what is told or communicated.
Yes.
Do you think in recent times, government or individuals or candidates have lived up to what they had communicated? Because the people have used the same medium.
Yes.
They've listened to, like you said, the first 4 years, this will happen. Another 4 years, this will happen.
Yes.
There is a communication, but nothing is happening within
No
the
action
space
backed up, yes.
of communication.
Yes.
The question now is, how do the people now hold government responsible or to account for previous communications made without actualization? And how do government bail themselves of continuing to tell, in quote, lies about certain things? How do we get wriggle ourselves out of this quagmire? Because what I'm trying to say is that this miscommunication, misinformation,
yes,
is what has led us to where we are right now.
True.
Insecurity, all of these issues. So how should government be
held accountable?
And how should they be communicating? We'll talk about that. We'll open the phone lines in case you've just joined us. This is Nigeria Watch. When we come back, we'll open the phone lines so you can join us on the conversation. Strategic communication tools for political campaigns ahead of the 2023 general elections. David Rowan is here with us, lecturer at Benson Idahosa University. He is media technologist and also teaching in the mass communication department. Let's go for a break. When we come back, all of this in a jiffy. Stay with us. Thank you and welcome back. This is Nigeria Watch coming to you live from BRTV channel 102 on your choice decoder TStv. You have a great opportunity to talk with us. We're taking focus on strategic communication tools for politicking, if you like it, or campaigns ahead of the 2023 general elections. And we have here with us Shedrack Rowan David, media technologist of the Benson Idahosa University, Benin City. And we'll open the phone line so we can get the conversation talking together. Let's use on the line. Hello, good evening and welcome to Nigeria Watch.
Thank you very much. I am MC Jiggy. I am speaking from Kwara State.
Okay.
I want to contribute on two points. The first one is free promise that politicians, and the second one on local government autonomy. Now, to start with, Kayama local government is where I am from, here in Kwara State. And every day, if these politicians come around to campaign, they campaign with road. Because Kayama local government has the worst road in the nation. Sorry to say. Kayama to Ganchi in Niger State, Kayama to Barute, the local government which shares boundary with the Benin Republic, Kayama to Kishi. Every day if they come, they will campaign to us that they want to repair Kayama Road, this and that. At the end of the day, by the time they start to cover a few kilometers, they will stop. They will not do it again. The most surprising one is the recent one. He started in the good field that everybody was jubilating. And before you know it, he stopped. So if you should now come back to campaign, this is what affected the past government, and the present one again we expected to smile, the same thing. How do you now convince people to vote you? And who do we trust on this? Okay, let's keep that aside. If Nigeria government wants to succeed, it has to return back the autonomy to the local government areas. Because these are the people that have direct contact with the masses. Go to the local government areas, you don't meet anybody. Because there's nothing for them to do. If these people are allowed to function, these little things like security challenges and so many other things, they'll be able to cover their own part. But now, everything is to the glory of the state. The local government is run by the state government and control. So even if the local government want to use 100,000, they have to get permission from the state and they have to get told what to do. So what do we call this? This is my submission. They should give local government back their autonomy, and the state should stop lying to people or the politicians. We are tired. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. All the way from Kwara State, we appreciate. The numbers are there on your screen, 0907 177 1985, so you can share your opinion. We earlier brought you a report on some of the newspaper headlines. I would like to take a recap of that from Punch. We brought you a report that Tinubu, Shetima distancing themselves from Buhari's failure. People's Democratic Party, PDP, is accusing. We also brought you a report from Punch. Governors diverting, misappropriating local government funds. Nolge is accusing. We have another call on the line. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Michael.
Where are you calling from?
Calling from Nasarawa State.
Okay, how is Nasarawa today?
Fine.
Okay.
So I want to speak on the issue of communication between politicians and the masses. What is actually going on now? If you look at our politicians, they already have their own strategy at hand.
Yeah.
Because they knew that Nigeria, or rather Nigerians, most of Nigerians, they do not even know what they want. So what they actually do is to give them a token and buy their vote. And that is why most of the politicians what their business as of today is to be stealing money. Because that is the only way you can get Nigerians to vote. During we saw what happened during the primary election, both in PDP and APC, how much were shared. Let me tell you, if there was no money shared in that primary elections, but they knew that Nigerians want to give them 5,000 and they forget the suffering of 80 years.
Okay.
They forget the suffering of 80 years.
You've made your point. You've made your point. Yeah, you've made your point. Thank you. So we can allow other people to talk. You can see the salient point here, mate. Now we're still on the issue of communication, and we want to be factual about most of the things that we're saying, emotions notwithstanding.
Yes.
How do we now get political parties to talk to the people in a manner that they will begin to listen? Because the people can hear, but they are not listening.
Okay.
Or maybe they are listening, they are not hearing. You need to tell me.
Okay. There are a lot of issues.
Okay.
Roaming around the country, you and I understanding. Basically, a lot of people don't have jobs, no employment. Now, the second one is the issue of insecurity, which is just everywhere. A lot of people find it hard to even travel by roads right now simply because of the issue of insecurity. It's a peculiar issue even in the north, the south, because they all have different grades or levels of insecurity, but basically it is. Then the education sector too. We now talk about the issue of ASU strike now in universities. All these are languages that needs to be understood. These are
so
grassroots
these are communications.
Yes, these are
from the government to the people.
From the people. The people are complaining
to the government.
Yes,
okay.
and the government needs to.
The government is not listening.
Thank you. That's
the people are saying we want to go back to school.
We want to
pay ASU.
Simple.
And the government is not.
Yes.
So these communications are not in speaking. They are phenomenal. They are
exactly
signages that are seen. Let's use on the line. Hello, the number to call is 0907 177 1985. This is Nigeria Watch. You have a chance to be part of the program. Hello, good evening and welcome. Hello, good evening. Okay, let's see if we can just make a recap of some of the newspaper headlines. But before then, let's see which one there. We also have this one. Okay, you can see that governors diverting, misappropriating local government funds. NULGA, Nolge, accusing. We brought you a report from Vanguard, autumn to presidency. I wonder what they smoke at the villa, talking about the response from Garba Shehu. Otom reacted there, and but in a very sordid manner. We also brought you a report that Eyes on Akpabio Lawan, as INEC publishes list of candidates. Let's use on the line. Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Your name and where you're calling from?
I'm calling from Nigeria.
Okay, I think we need to let you go. Some children playing with the. Let's see how we can wrap things up in emphasis. Let's identify more languages spoken by the people to the government that they have not heard. Talking about the scenario playing out at the moment.
Okay.
And what should be the reply of the government? Let me give you 2 minutes to say that.
Okay. I think the reply of the government on these things should be, okay, basically the government themselves have representatives
Who are supposed to be communicating. But are they communicating?
They may not, or they are not, because facts and findings, a lot of people are not hearing. Okay. They are not saying it.
Okay.
So, if like I tried to mention earlier, the prevalent means of communication is through the social media. A lot of different news without maybe facts. Okay. Running everywhere, and a lot of people see, but it takes time for you to verify all those and all that to make sure the ones that are true are not. Now, these are functions of the media managers too, okay, because they also have a very sensitive role to play in the issue of governance.
I think the media managers are also tired of repeating what the boss asked them to say. Even when in your conscience you know what you're saying is not true.
Okay.
They are fighting with their conscience. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Nigeria Watch.
Hello.
Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Rita Akamba, calling from Cross River State, Calabar.
Okay, make your contribution. Thank you. How is Calabar today?
Very well, thank you.
Okay, go ahead. You have 60 seconds. Okay, we lost that. I think it's network. Remember to get your TStv decoder, but we need to wrap things up, and let's take some parting words from you if you have the time. Let's see, more calls still coming in. Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Good evening. Your name and where you're calling from? Alaji, you are calling from where? Okay, from Kwara State. Okay, welcome Alaji, it's my pleasure. Ranga Dede.
Alaji Hamid.
Okay, Alaji Hamid, Ranga Dede, sir.
Okay, you are good. My concern is that it is Tinubu that brought them one, and look at what the poor people are facing in this country. What we now see is our assurance that if Tinubu himself becomes president, the economy, both the economy and insecurity will not be working. Because look at what we bought for the other time, and look at even the food stocks in Nigeria. That is my little take on that.
Okay, thank you, Alaji. I think the people are communicating now.
True.
But the problem is, are they taking advantage of all of this? What is the way forward? Because on this program, we try to also find a way to solutions.
Okay. The way forward here is bringing back the power from the government to the people.
Okay.
How do we do that? Simple. We now have a lot of people having voters registration card, the PVC card, and make every effort to make sure you get yours. Okay. That way you have the power to make a statement.
Oh, that's also communication.
Yes. So
that's the only way the people. This is the way the people can communicate.
Yes, taking action to vote the one that you feel is.
And do the people know that this is a means of communication? Have they been made known?
The campaign is ongoing.
Okay.
And people are already getting and collecting their cards.
Okay.
But once you have them, they should make sure not to trade it for anything. Your conscience.
Because this is your means of communication.
Yes, yes.
So the people will now decide to what to do with
what they have in their hand. That is the power they have right now.
Wow, it's very incisive. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Your name and where you're calling from?
Yes,
My name is Mopi J. Arugo.
Arugo, where are you calling from?
Okay. Yeah, Tinubu and Tinubu defend themselves from this four government system is totally impossible. These are highly placed individuals in the APC. They should not play phone with Nigerian people. They have the opportunity to even meet the Mr. President with excellency to tell him that Nigerians are going through a lot. But they decide to play politics. So they should deceive themselves. Nigerians are not fools. They are all highly placed individuals. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
And the issue of INET, okay. Please, if possible, do everything for us. Let Oga Mahmoud, please, Nigerians, millions, have not got a PVC yet. Some of the transfer, there's no to collect the transfer. When Mr. Mahmoud Glass is working for Nigeria because he's getting paid because of what he's saying, he agreed to do the job. Let me do the better job and let me do the good job. Let me come back on the field with boys. People need to get the PVC. People need to be transferred from place to place. Let me take a field walk. When his boys are on the ground, let me take the visit to the tree and how many people are suffering 3 on the line, 4 to 5 things. I'm talking about the ones that have gone.
Okay, thank you. That's the much we can take. That's the much we can take from you. Thank you so much. We appreciate. And we will have to take one more call before we go. You made your very critical statement to say the people will now have to speak.
Yes.
And the way the people will have to speak is in a way that they have to pick their PVCs.
Yes.
And go out there to vote.
Yes.
And for them to actualize all of this, what is most important is in the ability for them to understand that they are speaking their minds. True. And also talking to the people, to the government about the situation and the things they've gone through over the years.
Yes.
So do the people know that this is what they need to know, and who is responsible to let them know? Because we have some religious organizations, we have bodies that are supposed to do this enlightenment. But do you think this information and communication have been driven down the grassroots in 60 seconds? Okay.
Take for example, I belong to a church.
Okay.
And it has been a norm and has been a communication means to the people, advising that they should get their PVCs. Yeah. To the extent of even bringing the INEC officials to the church compound during services. They will make announcements to go to capture and all that. So these are welcoming angles or avenues for members who have not even heard about the process also to get acquainted with such information.
Okay, so the religious organizations are supposed to be enlightening the people.
Yes.
But not to say who to vote. So before we go, in 60 seconds, we'd like to take the characteristics of who should be Nigeria's next president. What are the qualities expected? So perhaps the people can have an idea of how they can communicate. Okay. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, your name and where you're calling from. You're our last caller. Please make your point.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, we can hear you.
This is Pastor Jerry calling from Crusade.
Pastor Jerry, where are you calling from?
From Crusade.
Okay, Pastor Jerry, you have to speak up so we can hear you. Speak up, change your position, speak up. You're our last caller on the program. Okay, I think let's take a look at the quality of who should be Nigeria's next president.
Okay.
Perhaps that will be a means of communicating to the people.
Yes.
So what do we expect of the next president of Nigeria? If you take a look at the person, what are the things you're expecting? Because I don't know how, if I'm asking the right question.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Okay, the kind of person who should be or should possess the kind of characteristics for that is one who listens to the people.
Okay.
Who feels the pain and has the mind of the people.
Okay.
And such kind of person, by profiling, should have a sellable quality and should not be the type who incites. You know, a lot of times what we speak sometimes can come back, even when there was a time in Edo State during, I won't mention political parties here, the one party had used, had tarnished an image over and over. And by the time the next election came, that particular candidate happened to be someone who is the flag bearer of the other party. So there was an exchange of the personalities.
Okay.
Now, the party that became the ruling party in Edo State today had to use the comments
of when he was in the other
party as an advert and a tool against the other party. So at that point, they didn't need to strategize or do extra things. All they needed to do was to play the video and the information, everything. So
we should mind what we say when we're in party.
Exactly, because you may not know
the table might turn,
that you may be at the other end tomorrow.
Someday.
So you have to be careful with some things that you speak. Be guided. That's basically. So
I think this is going to be a series, and we can't exhaust it in one program. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. All the callers, we appreciate you. Thank you, Alfred and Zinkat, for putting all of these, touching the button, and of course, all the staff of BRTV, TStv. Thank you, my assistant producer, Abayomi Abomire. Thank you. I appreciate you for all of these. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, sir.
Rowan, David.
Thank you, sir,
for just coming unexpected.
Thank you
I
for
want to say a very
having me.
big thank you.
Thank you
Happy
so
New
much.
Month. We are in Ember month.
I wish you the same.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let's do this again tomorrow, God willing. Tomorrow we shall be letting you know our next guest. So what you need to do is follow us on at TStv Africa on Facebook, so you can get all of the update on the show. And our social media handle at BRTV TStv on YouTube, and the program, The Nigeria Watch, on your Facebook page. Thank you so much. My name is Abasi Odu Idion. You can follow me on social media at AbsoBaba. Let's do this again tomorrow, God willing. I love you. Good night.